And we are back here at Peterson Air Force Base. We are at the Peterson Air Force Base Air and Space Museum. I want to thank the 21st Space Wing, the 21st Space Wing Public Affairs, and Mr. Nass, Sergeant Christensen, and Sergeant Longwell for hosting Super Dave Raines and the Big Show on Avengers Endgame week. And we have a panel, a very special panel, convened, part two. So we have Dustin James here from Generally Nerdy, and then we have Jeffrey Reich, one of the hosts on Big Show Entertainment Network's The Fix, to the next tier. So gentlemen, thank you. That was a great first discussion, and I think we answered a lot of questions. So I've got a couple more questions. So what characters who weren't in Infinity War might show up in Avengers Endgame? Jeffrey?
That's a tough one. I mean, obviously Hawkeye, because he had no bearing on that whatsoever. We didn't really see, what's her name? Not Gamora, but her sister, really, Nebula. We didn't really see her in that, and she's definitely confirmed. Possible, a little wiggle room here. I know he's not cast, but a possible Adam Warlock appearance? Because
I think might be the stinger.
See, because that was teased at the end of Guardians of the Galaxy 2 very hard, and he was a huge player in the comic books as far as Infinity Gauntlet and Infinity War. So I think that's a huge possibility, and it'd be their first really, really metaphysical character, because we do have, God, I'm blanking on his name, Benedict Cumberbatch. Who am I thinking?
Doctor Strange.
Yeah, Doctor Strange. There is a void left by Doctor Strange that could be filled by another Warlock. And even though Doctor Stephen Strange is a bit metaphysical, Adam Warlock's on a whole nother level, man. Like that's some crazy stuff to get into. So I'm excited for that, and I'm hoping that's the stinger as far as that. But I definitely think you have something to say about this one.
So, and I have a question, but I'll let you go ahead and answer that, because I've got a surprise one that I think might show up.
So we've got confirmation from the Russos that the Avengers Infinity War was heavy on a certain set of characters. So we got a lot of Iron Man, we got a lot of Captain America. Not as much Captain as we did Iron Man, because this movie is going to pivot, and people who got less screen time in Infinity War are going to get more screen time in this one. So this one, the primary, arguably, for Infinity was Iron Man.
Yes.
So the primary for this for Endgame is going to be Captain. So that's also why they're bringing in. I almost said Archer. The Archer. No, that's why they're bringing in Hawkeye, because he got 0 screen time in the last movie. So he's definitely going to be a factor in this. We got some, but not much, of the Black Widow, because she is a Cap on the split that we got in Civil War. She was on Cap's side. So pretty much people on each side of that split are basically what these two movies are going to accentuate. First movie was accentuating Iron Man's side. This movie is going to accentuate Cap's side. So that's the confirmation that we got from the Russos. Are we going to see anyone aside from Hawkeye who wasn't in this movie? It's theoretically possible, but that would be introduction of a new character, because really the only main player that didn't exist in that last movie but was still a part of the universe was Captain Marvel and Hawkeye, and we already know both of them are getting super. Well, Hulk, but Ruffalo was in the movie.
He was in the movie,
and we got like 10 seconds of screen time with Hulk when he didn't want to come out.
Right.
And then we'll talk about spoilers later. But so we know if they didn't get much or any screen time in the first movie, they're going to get a lot or some in the second movie. I don't know if there exists anyone in the MCU universe. Obviously, there's plenty of comic book characters we haven't touched from the comic book universe, but they don't exist yet in the MCU.
Yeah, I've got 3 that I'm going to ask you.
Have at it, because
I think are potentials.
Sure.
Okay. Number 1 would be Helena.
Hela?
Hela. Would we see Hela? After that, I would say, would we possibly see? We already talked about death,
Right.
but since Angelina Jolie's coming into this, would we see the
Eternals?
Eternals? And then the other person that I think might be a possibility would be Tilda Swinton's character.
She's been on set.
Okay, yes. So do you agree with me
Yeah.
on at least
I think
at least her?
We will see. I think we'll see this. What was her character name? I'm blanking right now. We'll see Tilda. Yeah, something like that. We'll see Tilda Swinton. I think that might be more flashback footage, though.
Okay.
That is a fantastic. I was not even thinking about Hela because in my head at the end of the movie, because Marvel up until pretty recently has been terrible about treating their villains with any sort of respect.
Right.
In my head, she was dead, but no, she didn't die at the end of Ragnarok. So, she's still alive. So she might be a factor in that. I can't see her being a major player, though. She'll probably show up. I bet she gets some screen time. That's a very good point. I bet she gets some screen time. I don't think she's going to show up, or she's going to be like a main player in the story, though.
Okay, and we'll have to look up. I'm having a mind blank on Tilda Swinton's character. But two more questions, real quick. Does Rocket get his arm? And
I think he does. I think he does, man. Yeah.
And because I know he wanted Bucky's arm.
Well, Bucky gets a new arm, so maybe.
Yeah, and then the last question: who survives?
That's the ultimate question, I think, and I think that.
Let's give that to
Yeah,
Jeffrey first.
Because you've got the list of movies, so we can confirm some of them.
Yeah, we already
Yes.
talked about that, but outside of who you talked about already, who survives this?
You guys just briefly mentioned the Eternals, what with Angelina Jolie, and they are getting their own movie.
Right.
It is scheduled, so that is a massive possibility. Who survives? I don't know. I guess pardon the phrase, but I don't know if Marvel has the balls. That's straight up, because after the first movie, Chase and Dave and I sat down and we discussed like who's going to come back. It was that first initial reaction, and I really didn't want anyone to come back. I think it's a good thing. It's not the best as far as if you're doing franchises, but as far as movie-wise, you have the most weight if you know a character's not going to come back. So I'm kind of aiming my arrow of sorts towards the big players. I want to see a really big superhero be permanently dead. And I'm talking Iron Man, I'm talking Cap, possibly Hawkeye. Hawkeye's not super important, but it would still hurt. I think the Russos are kind and gentle people, but as a masochist, I kind of want them to make this one hurt even more than they did Infinity War. So I'm saying that even if they do undo the snap, I still want to see a big character die. And Rocket does get the arm.
Okay.
Yeah. It's gotta be.
So there's a few theories about that. If you had
I was going to say Tilda Swinton's character is the ancient one.
The ancient one. Thank you. I knew it was the something one. I just couldn't remember what the something was. So all right. So we have some theories, and we actually have some idea of who doesn't have a movie, who is not going to return. Whether or not they die is kind of up in the air. So we know that Robert Downey Jr.'s contract is up. We know Chris Evans' contract is up. We know that
Chris
Hemsworth's contract is up.
He said he's not coming back.
Hemsworth recently has kind of backtracked on that statement because he and Taika have been talking about another Thor movie and what it would look like and how it would happen and all that stuff. So theoretically, Thor could come back. So this is what because I did a whole live video about this on Generally Nerdy about 3 months ago. There's a lot of potential for them to bring these characters back, even after the contracts are up. I think the way that Disney is going to go, and the Russos and Feige are all part of this machine. I think Disney is going to retire some of these characters, but not kill them off, because then they can bring them back. Also, I think, and this is going to get into our phase conversation on Thursday, I think they're going to wait probably 2 or 3 phases and reboot a lot of these characters.
Right.
So they can't 100% kill them off, because then they'll have way too many people going, well, what the heck? This person's dead. Why are they back now? And it's still the same universe.
Right.
So I honestly think that we won't be seeing Robert Downey Jr. beyond Spider-Man: Homecoming.
Or Far From Home.
Or Far From Home, yeah. Sorry. Homecoming was, the last one. So no, I think Robert Downey Jr. will have a cameo in Far From Home. They're not going to show that in the trailer, though, because reasons. That's going to spoil a whole lot. So Robert Downey Jr. will be retired. They might address the Ironheart issue after that retirement and then go forward accordingly. I think Chris Evans will not return. I think, and this is the really interesting fan theory around Chris Evans, Captain America, is because they're doing the time travel bit,
right,
they're going to travel him back to when, what's her name? The lady that he was sweet on.
Carter.
Yeah, Agent Carter. So they're gonna travel him back in time to Agent Carter after all of the big battle, and then he's gonna retire back in the 50s or whatever decade that was.
Right.
I think that's a really sweet fan theory. It is super theory at this point, but I honestly think that's an honorable way to retire Captain America.
Right. Well, guys, thanks. This has been an awesome discussion. We hope that you will enjoy this panel to kind of get you ready a week out from Avengers Endgame. There's been a lot of speculation since the end of Infinity War, which really kind of blew a lot of minds. So that is it, and we are so happy that you joined us. Once again, thank you to the 21st Space Wing, 21st Space Wing Public Affairs, Peterson Air Force, Peterson Air Force Base, Air and Space Museum for hosting Super Dave Raines and The Big Show on Avengers Endgame 1 week out. So for Jeffrey Reich, for Dustin James from Generally Nerdy, I'm Super Dave Raines. And until next time, on the love.